you so much for choosing to spend another few hours listening and learning with us. Of course, there are also those of you who this morning might be the first interaction you've had with Jim, our firm, and our virtual events. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Jim's credentials, I just want to assure you that Jim is an excellent resource for great information and cutting-edge retirement planning strategies. Jim has practical experience. He and our legal team have drafted 3,000 wills and trusts. Our accounting firm prepares 760 tax returns every year. And in conjunction with our money management partners, our RIA oversees over $900 million in assets under management. He's a nationally recognized IRA, Roth IRA, and 401k expert whose tax and estate planning strategies have been endorsed by the Wall Street Journal 36 times. He's been featured in Newsweek, Forbes, Reader's Digest, Bottom Line, and Kiplinger's, just to name a few. And he's a paid contributor at Forbes.com, and his peer-reviewed articles have appeared in Trust and Estates Magazine, Financial Planning, The Tax Advisor, and the Journal of Retirement Planning. He's the author of 8 best-selling books, including Retire Secure, which was endorsed by a number of financial luminaries from Larry King and Charles Schwab to Burton Malkiel and Ed Slott. As a member of the marketing team here at Lang, I've had the opportunity to get a unique behind-the-scenes look at just how much effort and energy Jim puts into presenting great information in these virtual events. And this particular content-heavy event is full of tax-savvy strategies for year-end and long-term planning that you'll be able to benefit from and apply whether you decide to work with us or not. So without further ado, please welcome Jim Lang.
Okay, and before I go any further, I do want to mention this might be a good time to say if you are interested in meeting with me, or if you are interested in having us do a financial master plan, you might want to sign up now. And I'm going to ask Erica and the team to put up a little something in the chat box or something like that in the event that you want to see me. I mean, very frankly, I'm going to run out of appointments. I mean, there's only so many days left between now and December 31. And even if you see me in later December, there might not be enough time for us, to do the work, or even if we just ballpark it for you, there might not be enough time to actually implement the strategies. And again, this isn't hype. We are going to run out of time. Okay, so, and Erica, did you want to say anything about that, or should I just move on?
Yeah, actually, I did, just because I know, Jim, you like to get right down to the core of the material, but since we are actually, because of our capacity and because of the demand, changing the offer a little bit this time, I thought maybe you could just let people know about the Retire Secure consultation. This time is for, the consultation component is for people who want AUM or who are interested in AUM. And
okay, sure. So in the past, we basically offer 2 services to prospects. One is what we call a master plan. And that's how much money you should convert, when you should convert. We take a look at your wills and your trust. And even if you're not a Pennsylvania resident, because we're not allowed to actually draft documents for people who are not Pennsylvania residents, we would make substantial recommendations that you would take to your estate attorney, or if you don't have one, maybe somebody that we would recommend. And then we would try to come up with this master plan that had Roth conversions, that had gifting, it would have the estate plan, the wills, the trust, the IRA beneficiary designations, how much money you could spend, and of course, your own personal situation. Do you want a second home? Do you want to rent? Whatever it might be. And that's a standalone service. Depending on the complexity, depending on the amounts, we usually charge between $10,000 and $15,000 for that. That has been exceedingly popular. In fact, it's so popular, we literally can't keep up with demand. So before, up until now, I used to say, well, if you're interested in that service, sign up, have a consultation with me, and if I think that you are a good candidate and you think I can really provide value, and then I would spend maybe an hour, a little bit more with you, and then you get to make the decision, yes, go ahead or not go ahead. We don't have that kind of time anymore. If you are interested in that service, basically you submit your information, and I'll be perfectly honest with you. We have so many of those applications. I'm not going to take somebody unless I think I can really help them a lot. 10, 20 times what we are charging, sometimes even more, because it's really it's not very hard often to save 100, 200,000, sometimes $1 million for people doing those kind of things. But anyway, I just don't have the time to do a free consultation for somebody interested in that service. So if you are interested in that service, then what would happen is you would fill out our questionnaire, send it to me, and then I'll determine if yes, this would be a good candidate, or no, it's not. Then we would get back to you, and then you actually, at that point, that's when you really have to decide. And if you decide yes, then we ask you to fill out some paperwork, and then I go to work literally on minute one with no sales, because the sale has already been made, and I'll spend my time completely on your situation. And then you'll also be working with one of our number cruncher CPAs. Again, I'm often doing a broad outline, but you need somebody to fill in all the details. And then an estate attorney in our office to review wills, trusts, etc., and make recommendations. Again, we used to offer a free consultation for that. We no longer, we just don't have the time. And very frankly, even though that's what a lot of people want, a lot of people really need an ongoing service. And we do offer assets under management. We don't manage the money, a money manager, and we have 3, but we're using one more these days. And by the way, he's going to be on our 4th webinar. It's Adam Yofan and Larry Swedrow, also from Buckingham. And they're a wonderful firm that I could go on and on about. And let's just say, for discussion's sake, that their fee is roughly 1% on the first million, and then it starts going down after that. They themselves, without any input for us, would likely be a very good choice for assets under management. But our arrangement is, if you go through us first, and then you meet with Adam and his team, and you become an assets under management client, then they still have the same fee, but you also get us doing that master plan that we would otherwise charge $10,000 or $15,000. The way we get paid is they pay us half of their fee, and for you, I think you get the best of both worlds, because you get this financial master plan that is updated every year, and you get a great money manager. So Erica wanted me to point out, okay, we still have retire secure consultations for that service, because for that service, very realistically, you're going to want to meet with me, and you're going to want to meet with Adam, because that's an important decision. Again, last time we checked, we have a 97% retainage rate, which is very high in our industry. But that's when you would have a let's call it a retire secure consultation without cost and obligation with me. If you're interested in just running the numbers or doing the financial master plan, as we call it, then we don't have a free consultation. That you just decide ahead of time and say yes. And again, I'm not going to take you on if I don't think that we can help you by way more than our fee. So, okay.
Jim, before you dive back in, I just wanted to do 2 things. So first, thanks so much for clarifying that. And I have to say that was very, very clear. Bravo. But Sue had asked, before you sort of elucidated all of that, what if there was a fee involved with the initial consult. So I just wanted to be clear, for the initial consult for AUM.
No, we are still doing that. By the way, it's been recommended that I charge a fee and refund it if you go with us, but we aren't doing that. And I kind of can't help myself. I don't know if you can pick up on this, but I love to provide value. And you would think that, well, gee, this is just going to be a sales job. Jim's going to tell me how wonderful he is, how wonderful the money manager is, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And maybe that's what I should be doing, but I kind of can't help myself. If I see an opportunity, I'm just going to lay it out there typically. And again, people have different motivations for what they do. And I'm not going to tell you money isn't important, because it certainly is. But I will also tell you that I could sell my business, retire tomorrow, and live very well for me and my wife and my daughter for the rest of all our lives and be just fine financially. Why don't I do that? Because I love what I do. I love helping people. I love doing the strategies. And to me, it really gives me great satisfaction to have more money go to your family, more money to go to your favorite charities, which we're not going to cover today. But boy, there's some killer charitable strategies for people who are interested in charitable giving, both while they're alive and after they're gone. And I really love doing that. I've put together a crackerjack team to help implement this, and I'll look you straight in the digital eye, and I will tell you, I don't think that there is any better combination of Buckingham and Adam Yofan doing the actual money management. And again, they have their own 40-step process that provides a ton of value, and getting the value of our financial master plan. So anyway, that's hopefully some of the details. And I can't see it, but hopefully Erica and the team have put together something that you can click on if you are interested. And by the way, Erica already knows this, please put a number on that. Now, I am not seeing anything. I don't know
Jim,
why.
as you are moving forward with, we apologize on the technical difficulty side, everyone. Just as you work on your slides there, let me just tell everybody in the webinar, the Retire Secure Consultation offer, which is available now. If you're interested in either a master plan engagement or the Retire Secure Consultation because you are seriously interested in assets under management, all you have to do is click that link, and on that form, there's a drop-down box where you'll select which services you're interested in. So it's the same form for everyone.
Bear with me for a minute. If I have to, I will do this from memory, but it would be better if I had the slides up. Erica, can they see me right now and or the slides? And the problem is just on my computer? All right, I'm back up as far as I can tell. Could I have some feedback on my, can you see me and the slides? All right, now I'm up at my slide. I'm sorry, we're having some technical problems today. And the other problem is we have light that's shining my eyes, so sometimes you're seeing some bright lights. Anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and do this from memory because I've done it. And I have one slide that I do have in front of me. One of the considerations for Roth IRA conversions is, do you have after-tax dollars to pay for the Roth IRA conversion? It's obviously much better if you do. If you don't, however, don't give up. We have some really cool strategies that pass the math test, but it might not pass the stomach test, which is borrowing money from your house to use for spending purposes and to do Roth IRA conversions. So I was just working with somebody yesterday, and they have big IRAs. They have some Roth IRA conversions that they already converted. They have 2 pieces of real estate, and they're 66, and now they have this 6-year window between now and 72, where their income is going to be much lower than it will when they hit 72 and they have 2 Social Securities and their minimum required distribution. So, but they don't have very much after-tax dollars to both live and to make a series of Roth conversions. They have a lot of equity in their house. And I said, we've done these calculations, and it really does make sense to get some type of home equity loan, which is a form of after-tax dollars coming in. And you use that money to live and pay the taxes on the Roth IRA conversion, and that does pass the math test. We actually did an article for Forbes.com, and we called it let your house pay for your Roth IRA conversions. It does pass the math test. Now, whether it passes the stomach test, that's another issue, because a lot of people will say, hey, I spent 30 years paying off my mortgage. I'm not going to go back into debt. And if that's the way you feel about it, fine. Because I would say that it's probably more important that you sleep well at night than you actually optimize your Roth IRA conversion strategy. But the person who I was talking with, and that's one of the great things about being data driven, they didn't like the idea of borrowing from their house to pay for a Roth IRA conversion. But he said, I will keep an open mind. I'm going to take a look at the numbers. And if the numbers are compelling enough, yes, I want to do that. Okay, we already talked a little bit about Medicare Part B premiums with one of the questions. And also, don't forget the STIM 3 Act. I'm not going to go into that, but if you have income of less than $150,000, you could end up paying a lot more than you think with the STIM 3 Act if you do a series of Roth conversions. So you do have to take that into consideration. Okay, so I think we're a little bit behind, but I have to talk about the essence of a Roth IRA conversion. And for those of you who've been following me, I hate to say this, but I have been talking about this in the next maybe 5 to 10 minutes. I've been doing this, teaching this for more than 20 years. I've taught this to thousands and thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of consumers. I've taught this to a lot of financial advisors, and they kind of get it. I've attempted to teach this to attorneys. They're probably the worst at understanding it. And attorneys in math, other than our attorneys who happen to be very good quantitatively, for example, Matt Schwartz literally has a math degree from Northwestern, and he's more quantitative than I am. And he would do just fine in any kind of objective math test. But typically the attorneys are not so good at this. The people who kind of get this the best are the CPAs. And a lot of times, don't take this the wrong way if you're an attorney, but a lot of times the engineers and the science folks and the math folks get this concept a lot better than the estate attorneys or even just attorneys in general. Sometimes when you present to attorneys, and I do quite a bit of presenting to Pennsylvania Bar Institute and other legal groups, you kind of have to dumb it down a little bit for the attorneys. I know I'm going to get some grief from attorneys, but anyway. And by the way, here's a secret about attorneys that a lot of people don't know. They often started out as good, nice people. It's all the things that happened to them afterwards that made us maybe not so nice, and why people always say, yes, attorneys thrive on the misery of others, which is partly true, and I hate to say it, but we're estate attorneys also. When somebody dies, we typically make some money. By the way, on a fair hourly basis, not a percentage. But anyway, the essence of a Roth IRA conversion, you're starting with some traditional plain old IRA money. And by the way, when I say IRA, I'm including 401k, 403b, SEP, KEO, etc. And you're taking that money, or at least a chunk of it, and you are paying taxes on that money now. And typically we want to pay the taxes from outside the IRA. You do that, and you get a Roth IRA. All right, the Roth IRA grows income tax-free, no minimum required distributions for yourself, no required minimum distributions for your spouse, and there's no minimum required distributions for even 10 years after you are gone. So that's the essence of a Roth conversion. But now the secret, okay? The secret is the appropriate, and I don't know why every advisor, Roth person, I don't know why I'm the only person that I know that talks about this. And it's going to make intuitive sense. And after you hear it, if you haven't heard it already, if you've been following me, you've probably heard it ad nauseum. The secret is to understanding the appropriate measurement tool. So most of us think in terms of the measurement tool is dollars. Whoever has the most dollars wins. I don't think that's the appropriate measurement tool. I think the appropriate measurement tool is whoever has the most purchasing power wins. So I'll give you an example. Let's say I have $1 million in an IRA, and that's all I have, all right? And you have $900,000 outside your IRA. And let's of course, most of you have more money in your IRAs than outside your IRAs, but let's say you had $900,000 outside your IRA, and we both wanted to go out and buy something. Well, and let's just say for discussion's sake that what we wanted to buy costs $700,000. Or even over a period of time, we intended to spend $700,000. Well, for me, since I have to pay income taxes on the money that I withdraw from my IRA, and let's just keep it simple and say that the rate is, in the 20s or whatever it might be, but ultimately I'm going to have to pay tax on the distributions from my IRA, and depending on tax rates, etc., I might only have $700,000 of purchasing power. Where you, and let's forget about capital gains for a moment, you have $900,000 of after-tax dollars, so you have more purchasing power than I do. And what I'm interested in is not the highest total dollar, unless you're a charity. I'm interested in the highest purchasing power. So if you understand that concept, and by the way, it'd be terrific if you could put a Y in the chat to just let me know, yes, I kind of get that. If you understand that concept, then you're well on the way of understanding not just Roth IRA conversions, but understanding the value of IRAs and retirement plans in general. Okay?